It's Wednesday Addams. I see you're trying to distract yourself from your own banal thoughts. Let me help. Here's a recording thing made of my latest root canal.
Wednesday, Season 2, begins August 6th, only on Netflix.
It's back to school season, and Clorox is donating 2 million disinfecting wipes to classrooms across America. Because back to school means things can get a little bit messy. Just ask second grade teacher Mr. Torres.
Put me and just one Clorox wipe on a team? We can take on crayon smudges, sticky fingerprints on every surface, sneezes on the door handle, juice box explosion by the sink, snack crumbs, and don't even get me started on the bathroom passes.
Clorox disinfecting wipes, teacher's #1 wipe.
Think about it. Bathroom passes.
Clean feels good. Based on unit sales data.
Welcome back to Connect with Jonathan Mark. We have a close friend of the show and a close friend of mine, Kate Casey, coming on. And we're going to be talking about two cases that are on Netflix and Hulu. They're really, really big and becoming extremely popular right now. So the first one we're going to be talking about, and you can find this on Hulu, it's called Her Last Broadcast, The Abduction of Jodi Huisentruit. And that's on Hulu, like I said. And the one on Netflix is Amy Bradley is Missing. Now, these are really, really popular cases. Kate has always been talking about cases. Even on her show, Reality Life with Kate Casey, she has directors, producers from these docuseries and many, many others. We're going to be going into great detail. I'm going to be tapping in to some of these cases here, and you're not going to want to miss it. All right, let's jump into it. Well, welcome back for the 100th time on this show. We love having you. We love having you, and I love having you. So thank you for coming on.
Okay, I have these two cases that have lived rent-free in my head for many, many years. I have many, many obsessions in life, but these are two of the true crime cases that I think about so often. And I know that in a previous episode years ago, I asked you about both of them. And as par for the course, you probably forgot about it. But
yeah, definitely.
They're cases that really, they outlive you. No, one of them, and particularly maybe even outlives you, or maybe you were like just born the year that occurred. The first one happened in 1998, and then the other one was, I think they're actually around about a year apart.
Yeah, when I was really young. Yeah. And like, I also want to say too, you're always ahead of the game with these cases, like always ahead of the game. Like even though they live rent-free in your head, like your years
I've
before.
Watched every single Dateline and 48 Hours Mystery for approximately the last, 30, maybe 30 more years. Because unlike normal children who would go outside and play kickball, I would be inside watching a prodigious amount of television. And because of my memory, I remember details about people. So invariably, if I would meet somebody who went on a cruise ship or had been to Barbados, I would bring Amy Bradley's case up. If I met somebody from Mason City, Iowa, the first question I have is, what do you think about Jodi Huisentruit? In fact, I one time picked up a bunch of 8th grade girls from some school event. And there was a new exchange student from France. And I asked her what town she was from, and she mentioned it. And I immediately went to this Unsolved Mysteries case featuring a family annihilation case where the father murdered his whole family. And that was the first question I asked this child. Are you familiar with the murder of the Legionnaire family? And she's like, what are you talking about? And then I had to get a text from her mom later, like, oh, it sounds like you had an interesting conversation. But then, of course, you have to go the full conversation in the car with the kids, because then they're asking Kate, what is that case about? And then I forget that maybe not every family talks about unsolved true crime cases. So that's the crux that I bear, is that I think about these cases, they come up. And in particular, these two cases are about young women. Right. Both of them graduates from college at the peak of that really precious point of your life between the time that you get married, or the time that you go to college and graduate, and the time you get married, where you're just kind of figuring out who you are.
Right.
you're able, because you don't have full work commitments as of yet, that you can travel or that you're dating different kinds of people. And the fact that they both disappeared out of thin air. And I think personally, I worry too about stories like these, that people don't forget who they were in life, or even if in the case of Amy, if she did continue to live, that people still think about her and want to pursue answers and what happened to her. So that is why these cases stay with me. And I'm so grateful that we're going to talk about it today, because they are the subject of 2 true crime docuseries that air this week. The first one is called Her Last Broadcast, and it's about Jodi Huisentruit. And that is based in Iowa, and that's on Hulu. And the second one is called Amy Bradley is Missing, and it's on Netflix. And again, these are cases that people may be familiar already with if they tend to watch any news magazine kind of shows. But I have been surprised in the last few days how many people were unfamiliar with these cases. So I wanted to reach out to you to see what you think, because anyone who watches either of these documentaries, this will live rent-free in their head for the rest of the week. It's going to be a conversation starter. And I think we all kind of want to get some answers on what may have happened.
No, 100%. And like I said, you're like always ahead of the curve with these cases. And I get sent so many cases for us to talk about like all the time. And these 2 haven't been brought up. They just haven't been probably. Yeah, no, I get so many different cases that I've never heard of that you probably have, but it's not these. I mean, I wouldn't know the Jodi name just based on the last name. It's like so like different, and so
it's so unique. Yeah,
it's so unique that I would remember it. Maybe not Amy's, but definitely Jodi's. And no one has reached out. Not recently, but over the course of whatever. It's always these different cases. And they're pretty localized to where people live, I've realized too, that they want us to talk about it. So it's like kind of all over the world, but very localized in like their communities. And I mean, there's like the other ones like that are famous that are out there and stuff, but like Maura Murray and all those, but not like, I've never heard of these. I mean, we've spoken about it like years ago that I just don't remember. But again, you're ahead of the curve. And I can't stress that enough with people, like how much ahead of the curve you are.
Well, thank you. But then you think about, in these cases, they had the benefit of families that worked diligently with the media and were savvy about how to get it out in the news. And then you think the heartbreaking reality of all the other cases of the people that have reached out to you who live in maybe rural areas or don't have the benefit of relatives that have access to relationships with the media. So, okay. Well, the first one is Jodi Huisentruit, who's a 27-year-old morning news anchor in Mason City, Iowa. Now, in order to set the tone, I need you to understand that in Mason City, Iowa, they don't really have any professional sports teams in that area. So if you're to look back even through the lens of 1995 when this happened, the people that are on the morning and evening news in Mason City, Iowa, really are their celebrities. So one can only imagine the shock when on June 27th, 1995, Jodi went walking from her apartment to her car early in the morning. She had been late to work. And there's evidence that there was a scene by her car that indicated a violent struggle. She had a bent car key, scattered personal items like a hairdryer and a brush, and one shoe. There were also drag marks that suggested she was forcibly abducted. And there was a partial palm print that was also recovered. In keeping with setting the scene for 1995, we're without cell phones at that time, cameras outside of buildings. You can't be, pinging cell phone of somebody who could be a potential predator or of Jodi's. So there's limited information. There was someone that had been seen kind of strangely in the area at that time. That could have been anybody. So she's late to work again on June 27th in the morning. And we have what seems to be a scene suggesting a forcible abduction. She has never been seen since. In the documentary series, they go through 4 possible suspects. And at first, I wanted to ask you, what comes to you when I bring up the name Jodi Huisentruit, again, 27 years old, morning news anchor in Mason City, Iowa?
Well, if I have to be honest, quite a lot. I'm not gonna, I'll just kind of go right into it because it does seem like she has a lot of, you can call it fans, admirers, whatever you want to call it. But what she is showing to me is when she puts a circle and puts herself in it, it's typically someone that she knows or that she's familiar with. And it also seems like, too, that she's been, I mean, she keeps putting phones in front of me. And typically what that indicates to me when I do these cases and stuff is that she, like male or female, but in this case, her, she has voiced concern about being like watched. Like this is not, like it's not random is what I'm trying to say. Like, yes, maybe the act of what happened was completely out of left field, but it does seem like in her inner circle that she has spoken to people about feeling uncomfortable, like feeling watched, etc. And what she's also showing to me too is that it's like when you believe so much it's one person and it's not that person, it's someone else that's in her inner circle, someone who, it's like if you're dating someone, they break up and they go and they have like they get obsessed with someone. That's what she keeps saying. It's like in your circle, you wouldn't think that person would be it. And then when they get separated, divorced, whatever, then that's who potentially could have been pretty interested in her. Because I see like there's also someone with a J name that is also like very, 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 I mean, coincidentally a J name, but must have been seen with her right before she passed. And that's why
correct.
people probably think he's the number one person, which I makes sense. But she keeps kind of saying that like when you think so much, like it's kind of like when things are so easy to like piece together, it's not typically that. It's typically something else. But it seems like the person who was last seen with her was a little bit creepy because she keeps putting an arrow up saying that he must have been a little bit older than her. Like they weren't the same age. But she's saying that the person was relatively around her age, maybe not like 20 years older or 15 years older, but was relatively around her age. Because she keeps saying to me that it's, again, when someone comes up to you and you think you know them, so you're not typically like afraid to see them, but then when they start grabbing you, then you fight back. Then there's the dragging. Then there's the bent key of trying to get in the car. But she is, again, showing to me that she has mentioned to her friends or family that she feels like she's been watched or that people are just being a little bit too in her personal life.
Okay, let's walk through, and I don't know how this may work for you, but it seems like in other cases that we've talked about, you can kind of position yourself or see yourself in their last moments or last day. So she gets a call from her producer at 4 a.m., wakens her, and she says she's running late. She's on her way to work. She never arrives, obviously. There's the situation at the car, things strewn about, red heel, earrings, hairdryer, hairspray, all pointing to this sudden struggle. No other substantial clues recovered, no body, no close
don't see any of that, no.
footage. Purse has never been found. So she goes out. The key bent would suggest to me that she at least got the key in the car. And then are they coming behind her?
It looks like, it's like, I guess you can call it behind, but it's on an angle. So it's like if you're, you can see over your shoulder a little bit, but it's not directly behind you. It's like you see someone charging at you from an angle. And that's what I see. It's like you're walking to the car and you look a little bit to your right and you see someone charging at you. Like being like, wait, why is this person here? Like, I think there was a mixture of confusion at the same time in the beginning because again, she's familiar with this person. So it's like, why is this person here at 4:30 in the morning? But then again, you know, working on so many cases, I've learned that like typically people study people's habits, behaviors, and schedules before they, like, especially when someone's obsessed with someone. So they must have had her schedule down being like she records or films whatever at like 3 o'clock, 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. So he probably knew. But again, it was the mixture of confusion and then the fight or flight, which was a fight mode for her because it wasn't directly behind. Because she's showing to me, it's like you look over your shoulder and you can see the person and you know who the person is. And when she saw the initial like grab, that's when, you know, the horrible things happened.
So from there, is she put in some sort of vehicle? And then from there, is she taken far away? And then the last part of it was this a situation where her life was taken quickly?
So she was put in a car. I don't think it's like what we perceive as like the creepy white van, you know? Like I think
Okay.
it was something similar to that, but not like
Well,
what
people
we perceive.
did think that it was some sort of white conversion van, but that's based on testimony from potential witnesses who said, well, we think that we saw a white van, but that doesn't seem to be concrete.
No. Yeah, and that's why I'm saying it doesn't look like that creepy white van that we always get warned about growing up or whatever. It seems just like a normal kind of like maybe bigger car. It could be a truck, SUV, or just, I mean, I know the SUVs that back then were different than now, but it doesn't look like the creepy white van. But it also seems like...
Is there like a weapon used to threaten?
No, I just think it was just straight like, I mean, like, and again, I know men can be weaker than women and vice versa. Like I get that. But when you're startled, running late to something, your mind's not there, and you're significantly smaller than someone else, you don't necessarily need a weapon. And she keeps basically showing to me that it wasn't too far, but it was pretty far away. But it wasn't like out of state or something.
Okay.
It wasn't. And as far as like what you asked the last one, I think it depends what you call quick as far as a death goes. Unfortunately, which is horrible. I think he did horrible things to her, which is like disgusting. And then yes, I think it was fast from what I can see, because she keeps snapping her fingers, saying it was like one like it like everything happened like a snap of a finger to her. So it just depends what you call fast. I don't think that's fast if you're being tortured, disgusting stuff happening to you, and then they do it. Like that's not fast. Was
me. The intention to kill her, or things just went awry?
The intention just was not to kill her. I can see it just went nuts, like went awry, I guess. Yeah.
Well, you had mentioned the J name. There was this gentleman named John Van Sice. He was a friend and the last known person to see her the night before her disappearance. He had filmed her birthday party and he wanted her to see the footage. He also had named a boat after her, which a lot of people in her life thought was quite strange.
Yeah,
he voluntarily provided DNA fingerprints. He agreed to GPS tracking of his vehicles in 2017 after a warrant was issued. But the data showed travel across multiple states, but found no useful information. They never named him a suspect. And he died in December of 2024. So not
recently.
so long ago.
Yeah.
But unfortunately for John, his name was floated around often in conjunction with the story because he was older. Jodi was somebody who was very attractive and had a really bubbly personality. And she was around so many different kinds of people, but seemed to have been the kind of woman that men would find really alluring.
Yeah.
So having someone in her life who was a lot older obviously raised red alarms.
Yeah.
There was also a man who was the ex-husband of a childhood friend that was put into question. He provided a DNA sample and took a polygraph, but he's never officially been named a suspect. There was another man who died by suicide while in custody for a different homicide. And he was on the radar because his ex-wife lived in Mason City at the time of her disappearance. And there were similarities that exist with other alleged crimes. However, he's also been dismissed as a lead. And then there was one other gentleman who had been incarcerated. And it was said that he had some sort of jailhouse confession, which he later denied. So it sounds as if the person who may have been the ex-husband of a childhood friend is a big possibility.
When someone says a familiar face to me, I'm going to assume that. Like, I'm going to assume it's someone who she like knew, right? Like pretty well, but unexpected. So like if it's a childhood friend's husband, I don't think she would expect him to be so like lured by like her personality, her, even if they got a divorce. But, you know, and especially like when it comes to the jailhouse confessions and stuff, I've just like, again, with doing cases, I've just learned that, you know, sometimes people want the attention and they didn't even do it. They just want to be recognized for, yeah, which is like kind of bizarre. And then they do what you just said. They deny it later on. They're like, I never said that. And it's like recorded. It's like, yes, you did. Like, so yeah, I just think it's someone from what I can see, is just very like shocking and like very familiar to her.
So for the people that are listening to this who may have known her and have worked tirelessly on this case, there are many family members and friends that are featured.
Wow.
Is there any sense that you can get of her spirit in death?
I mean, she's I guess the word that you use is like bubbly, but the way that she comes through to me is just extremely outgoing, like, which is, I guess, is the same thing, but she's very content and very happy. And the reason why I'm saying that is because she seems like very looking at the bright side of life of things. That doesn't mean that she doesn't want answers for her family. That just means that she's come to peace with what had happened. And again, whether that means her family will get an answer or not, someone can't live an eternity of feeling unsettled. You know what I mean? So her personality, why I find it amazing with her, is because she's so happy regardless of the situation, and the situation is not good. So for her to come through smiling, happy, just is a testament to her personality and what she's trying to do. And I can tell you this, she is extremely happy that this is being brought back in front of people, because it seems like there was a huge gap in time where there was nothing. There was nothing. It was just an unsolved case that was maybe featured on 2020 or whatever.
That's right.
But from there was nothing. Now it's on the biggest streaming platform that's out there.
Well, it's funny you say that, because there is someone that is suggested as a leading suspect, and the tip that came about him was prompted by a 2020 episode from years ago. So that makes sense. The other last part of that is that in the docuseries, there's this beautiful moment with her friend who said that she had a very real dream. It felt very real to her, where they were in an auditorium and she spent time with Jodi and they were hugging, and, they both were telling each other that they missed each other, but she had said, I'm okay. And so I think for people that watch that and have had their own experiences with dreams, would you say that there's something to that?
There's definitely validity to that, 100%. Typically when you're very close to someone, whether it's a best friend or even a family member, they will put you in a situation. So for example, the auditorium, I'm assuming
school.
The reason why she did that was school, and also her future of becoming in front of a camera, in front of a large group of people. There's reasons why, because if she went to school in the cafeteria, that'd be very different. But she put herself in the auditorium because it was school, childhood, and that kind of was the beginning, I'm assuming, of a career for her in her mind, being wow, I can speak in front of all these people, but I'm all good, I'm okay. But this is where she felt the happiest, being in front of a camera, speaking in front of people, doing that. So for her, that's a comforting spot. So yeah, I definitely believe there's a lot of validity to that dream, and just for other dreams too.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold! Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Your burger is served. And this is our finest Pepsi Zero Sugar. Its sweet profile perfectly balances the savory notes of your burger.
That is one perfect combination. Burgers deserve Pepsi.
This episode is brought to you by Greenlight. Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/Spotify. Greenlight.com/Spotify.
Okay, the second case is about Amy Bradley. And what I can just tell you briefly about Amy Bradley is that she was 23 years old when she went on a family vacation aboard the Royal Caribbean cruise ship Rhapsody of the Seas. So for context, I want you to imagine a 23-year-old from Chesterfield County, Virginia, fiercely independent, athletic, an outgoing young woman who had just graduated from Longwood University. It was March of 1998. It was supposed to be this relaxing family vacation. She was about to start a new job. The cruise ship's massive, 11-deck floating resort, complete with restaurants, pools, lounges, casino, nightclub, designed to entertain more than 2,000 passengers as it sailed through the Caribbean. After a night of dancing at the ship's nightclub with her brother, Amy was also with a member of the ship's band. She was last seen in the early hours of March 24th, sitting on the balcony of the family's cabin. So she goes to the discotheque with her brother. She's seen with a member of the ship's band. There's video footage of her in the discotheque. And then she goes back to the family's cabin. Her brother goes to sleep. Her father checks just a short while later after her brother goes to bed, and they come back and she had vanished. So imagine 5 o'clock, he wakes up, he sees her legs on like a lounge chair on the patio of the cabin of the ship. At 5:50, he wakes up. She is not there. Her cigarettes are there, and I believe her sandals too. But there's no sign of Amy. The ship docked shortly after in Curacao, and despite extensive searches on board and at a port, she was never found. So March 24th, 1998, Amy Lynn Bradley, 23 years old. What do you think happened to Amy Bradley?
You know, I think one of the worst things probably happened. I'm sure people think she probably fell overboard, because I feel like that is, you know, if you're leaning on a balcony and you're on a cruise ship, that's probably like the first thing people would think of, including myself, if I'm being honest. But that's not what I see at all. I see she was taken and she was put into a horrible situation where people sell her for pretty bad stuff. Like the way that it's coming through to me is that when someone puts eyes and eyes and eyes, that means there was eyes on her multiple times. Like multiple times. And I also see too, it's like, I know it's like a horrible reference to kind of make, but if people have ever seen the movie Taken, and there's a scene where he tries to find his daughter, or he does find his daughter, I forgot, I haven't seen it in a while, but they go into this place and there's like curtains, but within the curtains, they're injecting people with heroin, whatever, right? To really like dope them up so their minds are like completely gone. That's kind of what I see. I see she's being tossed and turned. And I mean, she keeps pointing at my tattoos. When by she, I mean like her family and stuff.
That's interesting you say that. I got to go back to the tattoo, but keep going.
Because what's being shown is like the tattoo is a good symbol to like kind of figure out where and who she is. And she's saying it's been cited multiple times is what I see. So she, like when that comes through a lot, typically, I mean, like, I know when people go missing, sometimes people can see or think that they see people based because they look like, and what I'm seeing is someone going like tattoo, 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 because they keep tapping at my tattoo. And it looks like that has been identified like 2 or 3 times. Doesn't look like it hasn't been. So with that being said, she was put into a very bad situation. And also it seems, I mean, when they keep referencing that movie to me, they keep showing to me that, I mean, people know about pimps, people know about that stuff. I think that's like, and I'm not saying that's what it is, but when you're in a sex trafficking ring and you have like people constantly watching you. I mean, again, what I'm seeing is they're tapping the internet and they're saying like there was like potentially like a flyer or something that like looked identical to her for like an escort.
There was.
So like what I'm seeing is it's like the proof is in the pudding, I guess, is what I'm seeing. And it's very black or white to me. And I know there's like obviously gray areas that fall into this stuff like all the time, but it just looks like she was a perfect target.
Do you see her as still alive today? She would have been 50 this year.
So the truth is, when someone comes in faintly, not faintly, faintly, not faintly, it's one of two things. It's either that they're not here, right? And they just recently passed. That's why they're coming in faintly. Or so when someone's on drugs or someone's about to pass or whatever, they're in this like weird bubble of like being here, not here. So it's like hard for me to tell. If I'm being honest, I'm assuming that I mean, it's so hard to tell.
It's too hard to say.
It's too hard to say, but I definitely can tell you this. She was alive for quite some time. I mean, she had to have been, and she might still be.
Well, I feel like I need to jump in and tell you this stuff because she did have a tattoo and several people have referenced that tattoo. Obviously, what has followed has been a nightmare over the last 2 decades. Multiple alleged sightings have kept the story of Amy alive. A woman resembling her seen on a beach in Curacao. Another spotted in a Caribbean brothel. A disturbing photo sent anonymously to her parents years later. Exactly what you referenced. It looked like a photo, almost like a catalog. And she had longer hair, which was teased in a suggestive position. It definitely looked exactly like her and also had that tattoo. Some believe that she had been abducted and sold into human trafficking, which, as you just noted, others suspected foul play by someone aboard the ship. But despite years of tips and theories, the case still remains unsolved. Now, one particular eerie development in this disappearance. The Bradleys maintained a website which was dedicated to her case. They filled it with photos, updates, and pleas for information. Over time, they began noticing mysterious activity. The site was being accessed repeatedly from an IP address in the Caribbean. And even more haunting, those pings occurred on dates that were emotionally significant to Amy and her family, like a birthday or the anniversary of her disappearance. So the question was was this a coincidence? Or could she herself have been searching the internet, looking at photos of her former life and trying to find a way home? What do you think? Was that her?
I do think so, yeah. You know what's interesting too, and not to get sidetracked off of this, I mean, it's similar. I did a case, Yvonne DeVrive, her son Max went missing in Aruba. And the one thing that I think is a similarity is the maritime law. Like anything overseas that involves any US citizen, it becomes an absolute nightmare. Like an
logistical nightmare.
Yep. Like an absolute nightmare. And that probably made it 10 times harder for anyone to do anything because it's like you're dealing with so many different things where the water could be placed in the Dutch side. And it's like now you have to go to the Dutch embassy. And then even though it happened in over there, it becomes so weird when it's so I think there's a similarity in the sense of
they may have been able to get answers earlier, but because of the legalities, it made it quite murky.
I think they probably could have found something way earlier if there wasn't for so much the maritime laws being so freaking difficult to navigate.
Yeah.
And especially from a US citizen. It's impossible. And I saw it firsthand and I still see it firsthand with a case that I've worked on closely with. So I can only imagine it being 10 times harder, especially happening in 1998 or 1997. I can only imagine.
So there was one occasion where a woman was in a bathroom at a department store and she's washing her hands and the woman comes in, looks exactly like her. And she said, "My name is Amy." But there was somebody outside the door knocking. And it was something along the lines of "Are you done? You're not going to try to do anything, are you?" And she looked frazzled. At the time, the woman, I think, was unfamiliar with Amy's case and wasn't until she got home that she recognized that woman in the bathroom or seemed to feel like that woman in the bathroom was her. Do you think that these cases where they saw her, there's validity to it?
I do. I feel like there's a part of where I saw that she was living, when I say a relatively normal life, it's not, but if she's able to go to a department store, if she's able to do things, but she's still being watched by people, it's not a normal life, but she's able to do things. So I think those sightings were her. And I think when people question what's your name, Amy? Or is that the tattoo? Then all of a sudden they pull her back. I mean, again, that's probably around the age of the internet, kind of blossoming a few years later. So yeah, of course people are going to start putting these missing persons cases out there. Yeah, I do think it was her.
So if someone, and it's heartbreaking to think about this, if you're sold into sex trafficking, at some point, I wondered if that had happened and she's looking at she's pinging, this website. I'm sure there is a collective question of why not reach out to your family? could you get a sense of why that may not have happened?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of fear, you know? I think there's just like a lot of fear that probably goes into it. And I'm sure this wasn't their first rodeo with like someone also. So I'm sure they're like, if you say something, this is going to happen.
Will harm your family.
Yeah, because the like thing that I see that's like also concerning is when a lead suspect is also like American, right? So, or like has American ties. So that's also like not really good because if they're threatening, I'm sure they could reach out to someone to go somewhere to do something. I mean, this is how criminals work, like especially internationally or overseas. So I don't know.
Now, the last part of this question is, what do you think happened the night of the boat? How could this have happened? Was there someone that coaxed her off the boat? Was she going to maybe get something? Like, how could she have, been removed from the boat?
I know. I personally believe from like the things that I was seeing when I was like kind of tapping in, when someone is hammered and someone had a long night, and maybe sometimes people want to drink a water. Maybe sometimes people want to do something. So they get up and they go out. And especially when you're on a cruise ship, you should feel essentially safe to go out of your room, to go to anywhere, right? That's what I think happened. She was very intoxicated or very, under the influence of stuff, walked out of the room. And it's just such an easy target when someone is so banged up like that. Like, it's just so easy to do. And that's why I always warn people now. And again, from just seeing so much, I'm like, you guys have to be careful when you do like stuff like that. Like, because people prey on those types of people. It's just too easy for people when you're so intoxicated or whatever. It's just so easy for people just to lure someone in. It's just too easy.
Well, these two stories are so perplexing. And the good news is that you can watch 2 docuseries this week. So the one about Jodi Huisentruit is called Her Last... now I forget. And you just go to Hulu. You're going to find, just put in Jodi Huisentruit, the title will jump up.
It'll be top 10 probably.
Without question. Yeah. Amy Bradley is missing. I told the filmmakers who I interviewed, this is probably going to go to number 1 on Netflix. And my hope is that, and it is theirs as well, is that there's such urgency attached to this case because now we have an international audience that we may actually get some answers. And the family so deserve this. The second good news is that I did interview executive producers for both projects. So you can go and listen to my interview with Maria Oz. She did the project on Jodi Huisentruit. And there is a whole team behind that story. And it's so important to watch that docuseries. But then you can listen to my interview with her. Yeah. And then I interviewed Ari, Mark, and Phil Lott. And they are the co-producers of Amy Bradley is Missing. And they have pointed out at the end of my episode the importance of going to the website that they've created for Amy Bradley should people have any tips. There are people that are going on cruise ships right now or vacations that are in the Caribbean. And I believe that IP address that was pinging was in Barbados. So like I said, these things like live rent-free in my head. I hope that people around the world watch this and we all sort of crowdfund information because I feel like this is the time that we could actually get some final answers. And if she is alive, Amy Bradley, I hope that there's some shame that is released and that she knows that her family is eager to get any information. And of course, to see her and to hug her and to be with her again is so important.
No, and that's really, really beautiful. And everyone go listen to those episodes. And I also want to offer my help too. If like the family member, someone listens and they want my help, I will obviously make myself available for whoever, family, friend of Amy or Jodi. It doesn't matter. I always try to make myself available for those people all the time. And I am happy because I've noticed even with this show and, not even compared to like a Netflix doc, but people are pretty interested in this stuff and they always want to help the families out like all the time. And it does work. Like the crazy part is like the exposure side of things really works. And especially when you're drawing so much attention to a case, it's kind of like put up or shut up for some of the people like the detectives or special agents that are working on it. It's like put up or shut up or like say something or do something. Because a lot of the times, I think people don't get this, but they're so inundated with like so many cases that it's so hard to focus so much on an individual case. They're being handed 10s, 20, cases. So I'm really hoping that this puts it back on the top for them and all the attention goes to these 2 cases for the families.
Agreed. Well, make sure you listen to Reality Life with Kate Casey.
Damn right.
And also, I should also add, I've got a newsletter every Monday that comes out with a list of what to watch. And these 2 documentaries are in it. So go to katecasey.substack.com and just click the subscribe button. You're going to get it in your inbox every Monday, but it's going to give you all the information about where you can find both of these doc-series.
And also follow her social media because she also does a lot of updates on these docs with, the real people involved, like the producers, everything. So please follow her social media.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kate, like always, thank you for coming on. I absolutely love having you on the show to talk about cases and everything. But guys, I just want to say thank you so much for leaving these 5-star reviews with all these great comments and questions. Please continue to do that. We're going to be answering a lot of those in upcoming episodes. And if you have any cases that you or your family are affected by, please email connectjonathanmark@gmail.com or just follow my Instagram @JonathanMarkMedium and send me a DM there. All right, guys, thank you so much, and I'll see you next week.